side.
News team, assemble!
Howdy, Aggieland. Welcome to the SEC.
Our program will be built on 4 principles in which I talk about all the time: toughness, effort, discipline, and pride.
Dang it! I'm going to have to buy that boy cream cone.
Now I'm distracted on my point. What were we talking about?
It's bullcrap. All I care about is winning. Show me the dang baby.
You do it till they do it right, and then you do it till they can't do it wrong.
Go get him. Why are you dancing around? Eat him like he's a steak.
He fits what TexAgs Radio is about. He fits into what the listeners are going to want. He's a pro on every level.
That's how long I've been on ya.
It's Nuño and the crew on TexAgs Radio, right here on Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Zone.
You know how long I've been on ya.
All right, we're going to wait to get into it, but I cannot wait to play a little snippet of Jimbo talking to the San Antonio sports anchor, Greg Simmons, and how powerful those words were this past weekend on Friday when he visited San Antonio. I read them, but hearing them was on a different level, so we'll get into that. Welcome into TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio, and it's now time to turn our attention to the SEC baseball tournament. A&M will be playing tomorrow, and we're going to be paying special attention to the matchup beforehand, which is going to be Florida, South Carolina. That game at 2 o'clock, depending on the weather, so we'll chat about that. But yesterday, some very good vibes out there for some Aggie baseball players with all SEC honors for Dylan Rock and Austin Boast, second-team honors for Ryan Targach, and all freshman honors for Chris Cortez. Somehow, and I think this was not totally surprising, but surprising if that makes any sense, Jack Moss was left off the list just because there are a lot of very qualified people at that position. That being said, Jack Moss absolutely should be all SEC, if not first team. Second team. Tony Vitello does get the Coach of the Year for Tennessee. An amazing season. Hard to argue with Tony getting it. But I would argue that Jim Schlossnagle deserved it, especially if you consider where they were a year ago, where they were just a couple of months ago, and the turnaround job that Schloss has been able to do with that incredible staff. So we'll get into that and some fake news out there. E&I White, all about it on Twitter. We'll talk about that now as we begin the Go Hour here. With Olin Buchanan, our Heisman Trophy voter, and I think potential candidate one day. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. The Heisman Trophy candidate, huh?
Yeah, I've used that one before. I feel like it rolls off the tongue easily.
I would have liked to have been a Heisman Trophy candidate, but I think when you're a second-string tight end at White Oak High School, you probably your chances are minimum.
Sometimes I wish man strength could be used. So like Nuño, OB, we go out and we play against some 7th graders. I still don't think we're a Heisman Trophy candidate.
Probably not. Depending on the 7th graders.
So
if they're 7th grade girls, we could probably do all right.
No, absolutely
come
not.
on.
No.
I'm
going to tell you the truth. My 11-year-old daughter will truck you. She's bigger and stronger than my boys.
No, I can handle myself against – I'll go out on a limb and tell you, I can handle myself against any 11-year-old girl out there.
All right.
I'm like Andy Kaufman. Do you remember him when he was wrestling all the women?
I just watched the Jim Carrey one. I don't know if you ever watched the documentary.
Man in the Moon?
But the documentary.
Oh, the documentary, okay.
So, yeah. And I'm not a big Jim Carrey guy at all. In fact, I don't like most of his movies. Man on the Moon was fantastic. Do you know how he got into character for that movie, like, all the time? When they weren't even shooting, he was acting as Andy Kaufman, and it would upset the other castmates. It would upset the director who understood it, but that's how he got into that space. It's a great documentary on Netflix.
Interesting.
I think it's called Jim and Andy, I think is what it's called. So good stuff. Hey, what is this? You've been working out, your hair. I'm trying to... OB, you
something different?
What's going on here? Oh, you trimmed your eyebrows?
I went smooth. Took the beard off.
Oh, you took the beard off.
Decided that that the C&W viewers, they've suffered long enough. Decided to let them see my face again.
Well, I know you went for glamour shots recently, so it's good to see that this is what the final look would be.
Yeah, I think my wife was disappointed. I think Irma preferred the beard.
Yeah,
probably to hide more of my face.
That could be part of it. I have learned that my daughters, and sometimes my wife, prefer when I have scruff. They prefer the look. I'm like,
for the scruffy look.
But then I started looking like a terrorist, and I got to shave it.
Well, here's the deal. If I just have scruff, Irma doesn't like that. She likes the full beard. But if I have the full beard, if it's coming out, it itches.
Yeah.
And I decided, the heck with it. I don't want to itch, and you don't like this way, so I'm taking it off. I'm going clean.
So if you want to talk about Olin's
beard
grooming
or
issues,
lack of beard,
you can call us up on the BCSI hotline. 979-693-1150 is the number. You can text us on the A&B text line. All right, let's talk about the Aggies making the All-SEC honors out there. Obviously, Dylan Rock was a no-brainer.
Wasn't he a second-teamer?
I think he was first-teamer.
I thought I saw Ryan Broniger upset that he was a second-teamer. Did he? I didn't even know that A&M had a first-teamer.
I thought Dylan was first, and Austin's second-team honors went to Ryan Targach.
I thought they were all second-team.
Okay, I might have it wrong. I'll
There was no first-team Aggies. There was a bunch of A&M fans upset about it.
That's where I made the mistake. Well, there you go. Second-team honors there for Dylan Rock, who should have been a first-teamer, but regardless, an incredible season that he's had.
Yeah, I'm surprised, but I have to admit, I don't know all the other players in the league. I assume somebody from Tennessee who plays left field probably had a huge year. I know there's a guy at LSU who's really good outfielder. I don't know if he's a center fielder, left fielder, right fielder for that matter, but I don't know everybody. I know that, to me, you just get on the team and you're all conference.
Yep.
And I understand those that are upset about Schlossnagle not being coach of the year, and you can certainly make a strong case that he should be. But and I probably agree with that because he's done the most with what was perceived to be the least.
Perceived to be the least, yes.
But like I tweeted, that said, I can never argue against somebody that won the championship.
How many games did they win this year? Like 41, something
I don't
ridiculous
know.
like that?
I think in conference play they were like 26-4 or something like that.
Yeah, I'm looking at they're 20. If this is right, let me just refresh it. But if this is right, they're 20. This is looking at football. So no, this is baseball. Here we go. They were showing me 2022 standings. But yeah, they won pretty much every single game.
So, and my point is then I'm not going to be angry because the guy who his team won the championship, because that's why you play to win a championship, was named coach of the year. Okay, but when Jim Schlossnagle wins what I feel is the inevitable championship that's coming here under him, then I don't want to see a change of philosophy among SEC voters, and somebody that did something else is the SEC coach of the year.
Yeah, no, and it's again hard to argue with the team that's been number one most of the season, a team that has dominated most series that they played in. And oh, by the way, you could say the same thing about A&M in the SEC. I don't know if dominate is the right word, but they absolutely, what was it, 7 straight series? Mm-hmm. How many times did they have? I think 5 of the 7 series. They had double digits in the final game of the series. They blew teams out, blew them out. Again, this is with a makeshift pitching staff. And I say that not to take away credit, but it's the reality.
It is the reality. I don't even think Jim Schlossnagle would argue that privately. He might argue it publicly. But the
perceived first or second guy in Micah Dallas has been MIA for the last month. Hopefully he finds his way here tomorrow.
They've been juggling that third guy.
Juggling the third guy. Detmer, as awesome as he's been the last couple of weeks, has been dealing with his blister, and it's caused some problems. And they're yet still winning these series. They're still jumping on the top pitcher of a team in the first game of a series, and they're destroying the second or third pitcher.
They're a scrappy team.
Scrappy.
They're like David Nuño on that Ironman competition.
Oh, you're talking about people love when we talk fitness on the show. Big fan.
I've just talked about the competition.
Yeah.
When most of us just want to quit trying to swim that quarter mile. No,
it's not. Let's give me a little more credit. It's more than a quarter mile.
Oh, that half mile you got to swim.
Let's give me a little bit more credit. It's more,
that 3/4 mile.
1.2 miles.
1.2 miles
in the Galveston Bay.
Galveston Bay. What if a shark bit you?
It would be over. It'd be a wrap.
All right. Or a jellyfish stung you.
That it would be a wrap.
Would you have to swim to the shore and have someone come over and urinate on you so you could finish?
Let's say hello to everybody here on the show. We go behind the glass. No one's peeing on me.
Well, that's how they say that.
There's certain things that I'm just not gonna. I'll just deal with the pain.
Okay.
Honestly, I'll just deal with the pain.
Okay.
Sam, how do you
Kay's
deal
over
with
there
pain?
laughing about that, by the way.
I would. I don't know. I don't know how I would feel about OB peeing on me.
No.
I didn't say it had to be me
or anyone. Let's just talk about anything but this.
I think I'd suffer. I've suffered enough,
Yeah.
But who hasn't suffered?
Segue man.
Is that women's golf team? They almost got jinxed by me, but they pulled through. They were the best. They shot the best final round of the 15 teams left. They make the match play portion, so they're going to be the number 3 seed taking on the number 6 seed of Florida State, and they're going to be teeing off here at 8:20 Central Time. So here in 4 minutes, the Aggies are going to be on the course there in Scottsdale.
Please keep us updated as we go on throughout the day. OB, that was another guy we brought up yesterday, the job Garrett Chadwell has done. And Billy was right on the show. We're not giving Coach of the Year awards out right now, but there's so many candidates on campus, especially here this spring, of people that could be, Pat Henry's still in the NCAA tournament. You've got what Garrett's doing out there. Obviously, Mark Weaver and the tennis team, and Schloss. There's been a lot.
That's the way it should be. I think that's the way it's going to remain. It's going to continue to be. The horse riders.
Yeah, absolutely. Equestrian team.
Did y'all see the video on social media of the post-round interaction between Coach Chadwell and the girls? Because if y'all haven't, y'all need to go out and watch the video that they had on Women's Golf Twitter page.
Well, I need to watch that at the break because I didn't see it. I saw last week when we had Garrett in studio and we played the video of their last victory and, the emotion in his eyes. So I'd love to see that. Good stuff there, Sam. We go now to the News and Social Center. Kay Nagley, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are y'all?
We're doing well.
Do you play golf?
I've actually never been on the golf course before.
Okay.
Ever.
When's the last time you played golf?
In El Salvador.
So not too long ago, a couple years back,
A couple years ago, Gabe and Guayal Palomo.
Yeah.
But, there's been many times I've been on the course with a windmill and a dinosaur and a shot par.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Last time I went to play golf, 2003.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not team golf right now.
See, and that's the thing, that it's such a great game for this business, socializing and things.
Absolutely.
And I did not grow up in an economic environment that was conducive to playing golf.
Or 4 hours to get away from the children. There is that.
Yeah.
All right, Kay, what's going on in your world?
Yeah, so as Sam said, women's golf is killing it recently, and they'll be playing more today. And then talking about potential for great coaches, as most of y'all know, Jo Evans will not have her contract renewed with A&M for next season, but the search for the ensuing coach is expected to come immediately. So we'll see how that goes, and I'm expecting them to get a great coach.
Well, if history's any indication, A, this university, and B, this athletic director has gone after some big fish. And we saw it with Schloss. We've seen it with others.
Well, Chadwell,
Jody Taylor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so why would we not expect something similar with softball? If you're going to play, get the best person available to lead your program.
Yeah, and there's a couple coaches out right now that are already done for the season that they could be making phone calls, and there's some that they may have to wait. Billy told us yesterday, a few out there that they would like to talk to, so we're going to have to wait a little bit.
I have to admit, I don't know who the best softball coaches in the country are, so I wouldn't be able to say, man, I hope they get this person.
Well, I tend to, when that is the situation, because I'm the same way, I tend to just think that they're going to get the right person because they've proven it, right?
Well, Ross Bjork knows who the best coaches are because that's his business to know.
That's what he needs to know. You're exactly right. Anything else, Kay?
Not really. We don't have that many texts coming in. Just talks about Jimbo's interview that I'm sure y'all are going to touch on later on. So.
All right. Yeah, so I'm going to give a tease. So I read the comments from Jimbo in San Antonio this past weekend. And I'm like, yeah, go get it, Jimbo. Double down. And he did that. But then when you hear his words and his passion And we're only going to play a little snippet because it's A, it's not our property, and B, it's there's a lot to digest in that one little clip that we're going to play. But we're going to come back with that here on TexAgs Radio. Right now we are talking about the Association of Former Students, good friends to the show for a long, long time. They've been around for about 140 years, and they have helped students all around the world and former students and just Aggies in general get through some very tough situations there in life. And they're going to continue to do that. That is what they do. That is what they love to do. The why is something you can watch right now on IamTheWhy.com. They have this website that they have dedicated to all these collection of stories of Aggies throughout the world who have had to go through so many tough times. I'm going to read you a couple examples out there. Here's Corbin's story. He talks about the support he received after a car accident and how it helped his journey to help others through higher education. You've got the fish drill team. Cadets share what it's like to compete and experience when they are announced as the national champs. These kind of stories are on IamTheWhy.com. I highly recommend you check it out. IamTheWhy.com. It is the Association of Former Students.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone. The public is invited to a pre-Memorial Day event honoring all missing and unknown service members who made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation. Come out on Wednesday, May 25th to the American Pavilion in Veterans Park from 11 to 1. The City of College Station is hosting public meetings to gather citizen input about projects for the council to consider for a possible bond election in November. The meetings are Wednesday from 6 to 8 at the Lincoln Recreation Center and Tuesday, May 31st from 6 to 8 at the Ringer Library. The Bush Library invites you to a summer film series featuring Shark Tale this Friday by the pond. Games and food start at 7. The movie begins at sunset. Our Savior's Lutheran Church is hosting a fine arts camp for incoming preschool through 5th graders. Mornings, June 13th through the 17th. Register your child at oursaviorsbcs.org. That's your community calendar. You can submit your nonprofit or charitable event by email to news@WTAW.com. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Shop local, buy local, save big deals.
Hi, it's Jenny from your local Big Deal store. If you've never visited our website, you're missing out because we've partnered with some of the best local businesses in town. Dozens of gift certificates, all discounted, ready for you to buy today. Here are just a few of the businesses you'll find.
Easy phone repairs, Next Gen Gaming Lounge, and Buff City Soap Aggieland. Shop and save now at AggielandBigDeals.com.
Start your sports day with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, powered by WC Tractor. Weekday mornings from 5 to 8 on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Or just tell your smart speaker to play Zone 1150. WC Tractors, your local award-winning Kubota and New Holland dealer. Call them with your questions at 1-888-8-TRACTOR. That's 1-888-8-TRACTOR. Or check them out online at WCTractor.com. Rise and shine. Weekday mornings from 5 to 8 with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max from ESPN Radio. Powered by WC Tractor. Here on The Zone.
Ground Shuttle is the Brazos Valley's premier transportation provider, well known for frequent and reliable rides to the Houston airports. Did you know that Ground Shuttle also offers private car service and charter service? For game day or any day, you can book any vehicle in their fleet to accommodate your group size and needs, from luxury sedans to full-size shuttles. It's the hassle-free way to get your group to sporting events and concerts, corporate meetings and dinners, and evening out, and the airport too. Learn more at groundshuttle.com. Ground Shuttle, let us do the driving.
Register now to win the Texas Summer Survival Kit presented by Field to Family. Register now at zone1150.com. Field to Family, straight from their fields to your family. Check them out online. Shopfieldtofamily.com. Shopfieldtofamily.com. Register each week, once per day, and you can win the Texas Summer Survival Kit presented by Field to Family. Again, check them out online. Shopfieldtofamily.com.
And we're back, TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. OB?
Yes, sir.
Love Jimbo.
So do I.
I mean,
I'm glad he's the coach of my team.
Yep. Yeah, exactly right. And it's so funny, depending on what aisle or where you sit or where you see things. I find that most of the media have been not in favor, but have supported Jimbo throughout. Most, not all. Most. I came up with a very scientific number. I'm going to go 60-40 Team Jimbo.
Or at least they've been outspoken against Saban
Yeah.
about, I saw John Wilner, who's a very excellent reporter. I think he's in San Jose. I think he was in Seattle for a while. I think he's in San Jose. He covers the Pac-12. Anyway, he was texted today, said, well, if you believe, and he was reacting to the video that we're going to share later. And he was saying, well, if you believe, do you believe that all these guys came to A&M without getting paid and they could have gotten it? And I'm like,
Did he ask the same question about Texas?
Well, but no one ever said that they weren't told that, hey, NIL opportunities are available potentially because look what other people have done here. They just said, he said, we did not pay anybody. We did not give any NIL deals. We recruited hard to get the guys here. Do they have NIL possibilities? Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. What Jimbo said was we didn't pay anybody. We did not give anybody an NIL deal. Now, once they got here, somebody might have, or in the case of one player, it's probably Evan Stewart, I don't know. Then they got an NIL deal.
Look, I want that same energy that people come at A&M for the other schools. How can Texas, who went 5-7?
Well, that's not going to happen.
No, but it's not. And by the way, would you believe that Texas A&M could get the number 3 recruiting class without NIL?
Yeah, I can believe that.
They've done it.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you believe that most of this class is from Houston?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So hold on. Things are starting to make sense. You're starting to add things together that could help be part of the reason that you're number 1. Oh, is it possible that maybe the top player, top recruit in the country was on campus when A&M beat Alabama on a historic night, and that changed his decision and cost him momentum?
Think about some of the other. We talked about Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy was going to OU. Lincoln Riley left. He said, A&M was my second choice. My parents live right here, so I'm going to go to A&M. Okay, so you got lucky there. And then there was a coaching change at LSU. The new coach comes in, and who knows what went on between him and Max Johnson. Max Johnson says, I'm going to transfer. And what do you know? His brother
says, okay.
Who's the number 1 tight end.
And that one came out of the blue for us.
Right. So there's other instances involved that people just want, the media, who's supposed to look into these things and look at everything under a microscope, no longer does. They just.
So let's do this. So Greg Simmons, who I've met a couple times, very nice guy. He's a legend in San Antonio. I think he's been their sports director since 1980. He's been there forever. He had a one-on-one with Jimbo before their event in San Antonio, or during or after, whenever it was, but in San Antonio. And it got, I don't want to say heated is the right word, but it was not confrontational.
Well, Jimbo, he's not afraid of confrontation.
No, he's not. Neither am I. That's why I love him. But it was just, I think it's some, I'll let the video and the sound do the story. Here is Jimbo defending what A&M has done over the last 12 months.
And I just researched this. Of the 11 guys we have in placing that came early, 1 guy has an NIL deal.
Really?
Yes.
Just one?
Just one. So all these stories you're hearing are complete lies.
Well, now,
because
what happened over the last 48 hours?
Nothing, and it never happened before. Because it was written on social media, and it started with the Bro Bible sliced bread deal.
Right.
So everybody believed it. And Nick, all the people obviously believed it. I went and checked with our compliance people because we have nothing to do with it. 1 guy.
Of the 11?
Yes.
The early enrollees.
Of the early enrollees.
Yeah.
Of the early enrollees.
Gotcha. So that said, what is all this dust up about then?
Great point.
I've just got to ask you, were you shocked that this came up because you just told me you only had one? I said that about
a while ago. It's like, that's why I made the original one back in February when they said we had $35 million in a thing. That's all false. It was written on social media so everybody believes it. And you got news channels believing it. Hey, big people believing it. And you believed it.
Well, and Nick Saban believed it, obviously.
Well, he's not news. You're news. You're media. Do you guys not research?
But
I'm asking you, did you do your research?
You just...
No. See, you can't answer. So you just assumed. And that's the way this world goes now. As soon as it's written on social media and someone says it, you believe it. So where does that put you as guys as reporters?
It's awesome. Just off. And by the way, I'm not naive to think that Texas A&M reporters, us, right, are the only ones in the country that are like, to me, I do believe this, Obi. I don't report things that I don't, figure out for myself or my team, our team, Billy, you, somebody on our team, or it comes from a reputable source with some fact checking. So, for instance, I tend to believe if Adam Schefter were to report something, it's probably true. Adrian Wojnarowski, it's probably true. Those are guys who are seasoned, who have credentials. But if the story originates from the Bro Bible, and those people now start spitting it out, or wherever it started from, then our media in general, which I've tried to defend because I've never done my business that way, we're going down a bad path because it is exactly what people have talked about, fake freaking news.
It was fake news. And then just, what was it, yesterday? The same guy put out something about N.I. White, and N.I. White got on Twitter and said, this is not true. So what? And to me, when I was a mainstream reporter in Austin and other places, you would, there was always this consider the source and are you a reputable source? I would have never just assumed anything that was from some person that doesn't even use their name.
Unfortunately, the E&I White one started from a reporter from PennLive.com, but then the Bro Bible took it and made it their own story. But I have it here, and it says E&I White recently put Texas A&M on blast over a thread in regard to his NIL report. Apparently, they asked him to skip the Memorial Day All-Star game that's supposed to happen, and he says this is fake news, never happened, and that's what he tweeted above it.
And then they'll say, well, I don't believe that.
Why?
Right. Like I was saying about John Wilner. Jimbo Fisher has been very consistent in his message. It started in, like he said, in January, actually, when he reacted to Bro Bible, and then in February when he reacted to Lane Kiffin. And you could say, well, he's not going to admit to anything. What does he have to hide? Even if he did the things that they say, he's broken no rules.
Right. So here's a problem with it all, too. If it's out there in the world, it becomes a story, regardless. And we have not reputation, we have a commitment to keeping the integrity of what we report. And now that it's out there, Nick Saban says it, E&I White's story, it's out there. Now people start believing it, but you're not supposed to report things that you believe, or like, it's different on a message board and fans talking.
Yes.
When reporters start doing it, now we have problems.
When you have no credibility, or when you compromise your credibility, you're no better than a fan, than those crazy fans that you want to make fun of. This, this is just some message board tough guy living in his mother's basement. That all those things that's probably aren't true either. But as a member of the media, especially mainstream media, I would think that you have the responsibility to at least check things out. Like I said, when I worked at newspapers, there was a time if you couldn't have two sources, you couldn't write your story.
Right.
And if you had an unnamed source, by gosh, you better tell your editor who it was. And now it's just like, okay, now they're saying, Nick Saban said this. Yeah, but like Jimbo said, he was reacting to some lie that was told a long time ago. And by the way, Jimbo, he just took that poor San Antonio guy out to the woodshed and just whipped his country ass.
Yeah, and people are asking who that was. Greg Simmons, KSAT, a sports anchor out of San Antonio. But I don't even know. Let me see if I can phrase this the way I want. It's not that I blame Greg or what. I think Jimbo hit it on the head. This has become the norm, that you take information and now you start asking questions about information. And then Jimbo has to address it because it becomes a story because of a fake story.
Did it seem to you, and maybe I interpreted it completely wrong, but when Jimbo says, I did my research and I checked it out with our compliance department, and we've had one guy who's on campus from our that has a NIL deal, and the reporter said one guy, and I interpreted it that he didn't believe it, that he was questioning that like yeah, right, one guy. Or Do you think he was?
I don't know. Like for me, that's hard to.
Am I? Do you? Well, that's how I say. Yeah. That's why I interpret it. And did you interpret it differently?
I don't think you're alone. I think I could lean that way. When I first heard it, I could also see it being like, oh, really? Like, okay. Like, so why is this a story then? Kind of like, but I don't know. I don't know. Again, I try not to put my thoughts into somebody's.
Well, I take it by tone, but then I will admit I've never heard of the guy.
Yeah.
So I don't know his tone. It's kind of like the guys from Pat McAfee. Yeah. Those guys making fun of me, which is I think was hysterical, by the way, because I'm constantly, they think, trying to interrupt Jimbo when in fact we've been in press conferences with Jimbo enough to, in most cases, it appeared that he had finished his thought, right? Yeah. So maybe I don't know the guy, so maybe his response was something that would be typical of him. But it just struck me that he was questioning Jimbo even when Jimbo was giving him the answer or an explanation.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I just don't know. But I'm not saying you're wrong, and I could see it that way as well.
I might be wrong. I might be wrong. It's just, again, my interpretation.
All right, when we come back here, SEC playoffs. Have you read this little article out there? Yeah, we're going to talk about the SEC playoffs. You're like, SEC playoffs? Well, maybe they're going to do something so we don't have to wait for...
win a game.
Yeah, just trying to. Why did I do your voice with you?
I don't know.
That was a little weird.
That was my Jim Mora voice.
Yeah.
Playoffs.
See? Go ahead, do it another one.
Playoffs. Just trying to win a game.
Don't
talk to me about playoffs.
Right now, I'm just trying to talk about Heritage Films with this voice. So excited to talk about them. Chance McClain is great. And Heritage Films, if you haven't gone to their website, check it out, yourheritagefilm.com. What they do is they make documentary films about you, about your parents, your kids, your boss, somebody important in your life. And they're such a great treat. Aggies are doing it. When Chance and I met back in September, he was like, yeah, like most of my clients are Aggies. This is before he was here doing his advertising with TexAgs. He was just doing it on the Michael Berry show. But he's like, I have learned, A, because my daughter goes to A&M, and B, because I've dealt with so many Aggies, how much history matters to Aggies out there. Many of you listening right now know that your story is important, and you don't want to play the game of telephone forever. You want to have that story kind of captured and told to your children and the next generation and the next generation. That's why you team up with Chance and Heritage Films. 2-hour documentary film. I had one done on my dad. It's incredible. Check out the website, yourheritagefilm.com. Yourheritagefilm.com. 713-893-8341. 713-893-8341.
His playlist might have Oasis, Bad Bunny, and Kanye, but he's thinking about his Aggies all the time. It's David Nuño and TexAgs Radio on The Zone.
Ben Bias and the Washington, D.C. special interests bankrolling him are telling downright lies about Kyle Cassell. So let's get the facts straight. Kyle Cassell is leading the charge to secure the border. That's why he's endorsed by Governor Abbott and law enforcement. Cassell is endorsed by Texas pro-life groups and the NRA for passing the strongest pro-life law in America and protecting our Second Amendment. So why are Ben Bias and his D.C. swamp buddies lying about Kyle Cassell? Because Bias supports corporate welfare and promotes taxpayer subsidies directly to his own businesses. And his friends want to privatize our rural public schools that will cripple our towns and ship our jobs to the big cities. In the Republican runoff, Kyle Cassell is the only candidate who will fight for our conservative values and our rural way of life. How do we know that? Because he's already done it. Political ad paid for by the Kyle Cassell campaign.
Does the insulated glass in your windows refuse to come clean no matter how hard you work? If so, the glass unit has probably lost its seal. You might notice moisture between the panes, a hazy look, shadows, or even the growth of some white mold. If so, it's time to call your friends at Intercon. Not only are these conditions unattractive, but you no longer have an insulated barrier in your windows. There are a number of options available to you to remedy lost seals. Most options allow you to retain your existing window frame and just replace the bad glass with a new sealed unit. Clear insulated glass offers an insulating pocket, but no protection against solar heat gain. Low E insulated glass adds a coating between the sheets of glass. The coating blocks about 80% of the solar heat gain, as well as the damaging UV rays of the sun. Another option is to trade out the entire window frame with a premium vinyl window. Since Intercon does both glass and windows, we can offer you a full complement of options. Call Intercon to get a free quote from a locally owned and managed business.
Whether you have new construction or an existing home, let the fine folks from Intercon help you keep your home energy efficient year-round. Call Brad Beard of Intercon today at 823-3639. That's 823-3639. 3639.
This is ESPN Radio.
Arthur Smith, head coach, Atlanta Falcons, here with us.
The fact that they pay me to do this job, I'm lucky as hell. I live in my dream, and I get to coach football in the NFL for a living.
Mario Andretti, everybody.
Formula One is in a good place right now. Something has exploded here. The fan base speaking loud and clear.
The head coach, Bill Self.
Winning it is fabulous, an unbelievable feeling. One thing I will say, the wins never feel as good as the losses feel bad.
Lane Johnson, Philadelphia Eagles.
The past 2 years, we've been starting off very slow, 2-5, 3-6. My goal is to start off hot and keep going.
Philadelphia 76ers guard Danny Green. I got to talk trash about James Harden now.
I appreciate y'all, man. Don't talk too much trash about my teammate, bro.
Mike Vrabel returns. Does Tom Brady still owe you an Escalade? I think he stole your MVP in a Super Bowl against the Eagles.
Yeah, it's okay. He made up for it with all those Ohio State, Michigan bets.
ESPN Radio, weeknights and weekends on Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Zone.
All right, welcome back, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Just had a Seinfeld moment.
Into there?
Rolling Stone.
Okay, good job. Now, what was your Seinfeld?
So I went upstairs to get some tea, right? And I'm coming down, and I know I'm running out of time because the segment's about to start. And there's nobody working the front desk, and a doorbell rings. And I see a guy wanting to come in, and the door's locked. And I have a decision to make there. Do I let this guy in who we make eye contact? Like, he knows that I'm there. Or do I go do my show? And it was one of those, like...
You're like that squirrel in the middle of the road with traffic coming.
And I'm
do I go left or do I go right? Or do I get squashed?
And I think the dude's an intern. Okay. So his first day is not starting off well.
Yeah,
no, but I made a decision to go do the show. The show comes first. But there was a moment I was like, man, because what's going to happen? You open the door. Hi, how can I help you? Hey, I'm here to, I got to check his ID. I don't know. Like, hey, where's Billy? Like, I don't want to have a conversation.
Because you got to be 21 to come in here. You got to TexAgs. You got to show us your ID.
Well, if he's trying to get in.
Oh, okay.
In this
I thought
world.
maybe we had to card you.
No, I don't know who the dude is. Hey, I'm here for a meeting with Brandon. I don't know. Brandon's not here. Can't let you in.
Kay's laughing at us, by the way.
She thinks we're a bunch of 10-year-old little girls.
She didn't say girls, but she did say we act like a couple of 10-year-olds.
Kay, can you expand on that, please?
Just like little 10-year-old boys, like bickering.
Do your best Jim Mora playoffs.
Yeah, Olin had to introduce this video to me throughout the break, but playoffs.
There you go.
Playoffs.
That was good. That was good. And by the way, we're not arguing with each other. We're on the same page.
We are.
Very true.
We're like Jimbo and Saban. We both think that there needs to be NIL regulation.
I love how that's the part of the argument that those defending Saban go to. But they agree. They think that's not what the deal was.
It's like if somebody is, if you go in and you see your significant other, or you see a friend's significant other at lunch with someone from the opposite sex, you say, well, they're cheating. They're having an affair. Well, might turn out that they're related. My brother or my sister came into town. Find the facts.
Yes. Go on a fact-finding mission. Or just don't comment.
Maybe it's a good friend. Maybe it's a business associate. There's all kinds of things it could be. But no, they're cheating. They're paying everybody.
No, they're not.
Or maybe you should say, that's significant. That person you see, you say, oh, they're there with a professional date, if you know what I mean, an escort, because they paid everybody. No, they didn't pay anybody. They're just there with it's innocent.
Aunt Sally. They were there with Aunt Sally.
Yeah, my Aunt Sally, she'd I don't have an Aunt Sally, but if I did, she would have come to visit. I'd have taken her to lunch.
Of course she would.
Doesn't mean I'm going to be doing anything.
Okay, let's
bad.
just move on. Let's SEC on playoffs. All right,
playoffs.
So there was an article yesterday from ESPN. I think it was Adam Rittenberg who talked about the SEC meetings that are coming up in Destin. God, I want to go to Destin.
I think it was Thamel.
Was it? Oh, why did I read it? I can't stand that guy's work anymore.
I'm looking forward to seeing him in Destin.
Yeah, and giving him that laugh that he gave for the threat.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys, like, we talk about people. We'll probably get back to them.
I don't care.
As long as they're not, like, super big, come talk to me. Let's see what happens. Let's chat.
I don't care.
SEC meeting. So one of the things coming up is SEC is considering their own playoffs.
Playoffs? I'm sorry. Go on. I'll stop.
Do you understand the thought process here?
Yeah, I think Greg Sankey is just...
he's just throwing things.
I think he's trolling everybody else.
Saying, all right, we're not going to get it our way. We'll do it our way.
It's such a big deal among SEC teams to be the national champion, right? Mm-hmm. And they're so proud of all these national championships they've won. And I think they're saying, look, we're just going to have our own. We're spitballing here, but let's just have an 8-team playoff among SEC teams, and then we will play the playoff winner for the championship.
Right.
Well, the rest of the conferences isn't going to go for that.
You don't think the Alliance or the Big Ten will be like, well, maybe.
Well, maybe the Big Ten and SEC would do it together, but,
right.
But everybody else isn't. And they're going to look at 2014 because that's how far you got to go back to find a playoff championship game that did not include a SEC team. And it was Ohio State and Florida State, coached by
Jimbo Fisher.
No, well, actually, it wasn't.
They played Auburn.
They had lost to Oregon.
Right.
They'd lost to Oregon in the semifinal. So it was Oregon and Ohio State, the Ezekiel Elliott year. That's the last time, but that's still what they would say. Look, there's no guarantee that an SEC team is always going to be in the final. Look at 2014. So therefore, why would we agree to let you guys have an automatic pass through your own playoff into the championship? That's like the Little League World Series. They have the international division and the American division.
Right.
So there's always a United States team in the final.
Always.
Well, okay, that works for Little League, but in this time, big-time college football, even though if you don't do it that way, you have a chance that you're going to have 2 SEC teams in the final. But I don't think you're going to find any other conferences saying, oh, yeah, we'll sign up on that. And therefore, then the SEC may say, okay, well, we're going to go on our own, and we'll just have an SEC champion, and that's going to be good enough. And then if you're A&M and you finally win the SEC and you can't play for the national championship that you've been angling for almost 100 years.
But what would do better ratings-wise? An SEC champion that to them is a playoff champion versus the rest of the leagues?
Up until you get to the championship game, probably the SEC.
Yeah.
But a championship game, I believe, even if it's Ohio State versus USC or Ohio State versus Oklahoma State, what they're going to bill as a national championship game, I think is still going to get more ratings than a regional SEC championship. So what if it's Clemson against Ohio State?
Yeah, but that's why I think you would need another conference to play ball. But I think what you said, the troll job, is what makes this so intriguing because he's saying, look, we can do this. we can do whatever the heck we want.
Yeah. We
can do this. And Big Ten, you want to join us? We'll do our own thing and force our playoff this way.
He probably said, look, guys, we've already got the strongest conference. We've won this many national championships just in the last 10 years. And when we didn't win them, we were second. And oh, by the way, a lot of times we're going to have 2 teams. And now we're going to add 2 more teams. And one team has won a bunch of conference championships, and the other one just went 5-7 and lost to Kansas. But okay, but we're going to bring them in anyway, and we're going to be even stronger. So we can play it this way, or we can play it that way. But what you probably don't want to do is piss us off.
Right.
That's probably what you don't want to do, because now, what would really make college football crazy and everybody else in the world crazy is if the Big Ten decided to do something similar.
Now we're trending in that direction, which is what I think Sankey is doing. He's sending a little message. Look, we can do whatever we want, and we might.
Because if the Big Ten and the SEC got in cahoots on something like this, then you got the watered down Big 12. You got the Pac-12, whose own fans don't care about it, and the ACC, which they're always just waiting for basketball season.
They are. Let's do this. Let's hit a break. When we come back, we'll get to your phone calls on the BCSI hotline, 979-693-1150, or you can also text us on the A&B text line. Those are multiple ways to get in touch with the show. Right now, I am looking for caller number 1. We're going to give you a free car wash from Aggieland Express Car Wash in South College Station off of William D. Fitch in Greens Prairie. Aggie owned and operated with the friendliest staff and a personal touch. They offer a monthly membership. We'll give the first caller a free car wash right now from Aggieland Express in South College Station, 979-693-1150.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. The Brazos County A&M Club invites you to come hear the latest news on the upcoming football season from Coach Jimbo Fisher at Coach's Night, Thursday, June 2nd at 6 p.m. at the Brazos County Expo Center. Visit their website for more information, bcamc.org. Aggieland Cowboy Fellowship Church is hosting its annual Stick Horse Rodeo Series on June 4th and again on June 18th from 10 a.m. to noon. Contact Sherry at 936-577-8736. Stage Center Theater in downtown Bryan invites you to see Steel Magnolias, Robert Harling's play about 6 sassy women navigating life through the good times and bad. Performances run June 9th through the 25th. Purchase tickets at stagecenter.net. Support the Sexual Assault Resource Center through their Be a Light campaign by making a donation at sarcbv.org. That's your community calendar. You can submit your nonprofit or charitable event by email to news@wtaw.com. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Hey parents, when it comes to your child's education, there's a lot to consider. No matter what you're searching for, search the Bryan Broadcasting half-price tuition program first. We've partnered with schools and learning centers throughout the area to get your students started with high-quality programs at half price. Right now, we're featuring half-price tuitions at Hopewell Classical Day School, Kinder Music, Happy Camper School, and more. Half-price tuitions are first come, first served, and availability is limited. Go to halfpricebrazos.com.
Hi, this is Jeff Vanderwood with Veribank. Veribank is continuing to grow in the Brazos Valley with a brand new full-service banking center on Highway 6 in front of Academy. We have a team of genuine bankers specializing in personal and business banking, wealth management, and investor real estate lending ready to serve you. Veribank is here to help you succeed financially, and you can bank on it.
Visit Verabank.com today. That's VERA Bank.com. Verabank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
The flagship station for Aggie Athletics is The Zone. Whenever the Aggies are playing, you can hear them right here at 1150 and 93.7 FM. Thanks to our listeners and our Aggie broadcast sponsors, Schulte Roofing, Prosperity Bank, Hargrove Insurance, and Rudy's Barbecue. Here's a big gig-em to all these sponsors. Listen to Aggie Athletics on The Zone 1150 and 93.7 FM.
Hey, Burger, how you doing, Paul Fun? So the baby Saban's on TikTok because he can't get things his way no more because he's not on top anymore. So what, Saban? Get over it. You're not on top anymore. You're not going to be the king forever, Saban. You're going to whine about some more. Shut the heck up already. I can't wait to be playing Paul.
The Paul Feinbaum Show, powered by Polaris Fun Center, 2 to 4 weekdays on The Zone.
TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Big Tom Petty guy, Olin Buchanan.
I am a big Tom. He's definitely on my top 10 favorite artists.
He's great. He's great.
Great.
Yep.
Wish he was still alive.
Can you appreciate greatness but not necessarily have them as a go-to?
Yeah, I can.
Because I appreciate the greatness that is Tom Petty. Don't think I put him in my car often.
Yeah.
Or ever.
I appreciate the greatness that is the Fat Boys.
You're the only one. I don't. That crap ain't going in my car.
But I don't.
I am not listening to the Fat Boys. I did in 1983.
That's all I could. I remember about being 20, driving around in my Nova that had no seatbelts, listening to my 8-track tape of Rick James.
Rick James.
Yeah.
The Dave Chappelle skit of Rick James.
I didn't see it.
Oh. You know how sometimes you get something on your computer like you've got to see this, David. I actually was it who showed me the Family Guy Aquaman clip? Somebody showed that to me the other day.
No, I don't think it was me.
It was hilarious. I don't watch those shows. It was hilarious. It was very funny.
I never watched Family Guy, and then when I left the Austin American Statesman, my good friend Cedric Golden gave me a box set of the Family Guy and said, "Listen, I promise you this is your sense of humor," and he was right.
Yeah.
And the first one I saw is like the guy saying, I haven't felt this bad about the advice I've given since. And then they did like a think back, and he's at a bar with a big black guy, and he says, "I'm telling you, Juice, if my wife was running around with a waiter, I'd do something about it." And I went, "This is my kind of humor."
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Let's go to the News and Social Center. Kay Nagley.
Hello, guys. Dylan Tabor has a legal issue question for y'all. So, would Travis Hunter, who signed with Jackson State, have any legal standing in defamation suit against Nick Saban? Could there be any damages and reduced NIL possibilities or theoretical loss of amateur status for accepting pay to play? Not that any of these happen, but could a talented attorney make a good civil case against Saban, who singled him out and accused him in public?
I don't think so.
I don't know. I'm not an attorney. You'd have to ask Hunter Shurtleff on Thursday.
Yeah.
And Hunter, who is a talented attorney, could give you a really good, educated answer. I didn't even stay in a Holiday Inn Express Inn last night, so I can't answer. I can't even,
You didn't get enough sleep last night, did you?
I didn't. But so you know what I did? I got up at 5 o'clock and did my treadmill.
How did it feel?
Felt good once I got it finished.
Yeah, once you're done, doesn't it make your day feel much better?
Yes.
Yes. You've got it out of the way.
Kay's laughing at us again.
Because we're just a bunch
10-year-old.
We're like the Golden Girls. You ever watch the Golden Girls, Kay?
I have not.
Are you
So he set that to get ready.
What am I hearing in the
You want to
background?
go full screen on them?
I hear Dalton.
I hear Dalton giving directions.
Oh, someone's going to get fired for that. Someone's done.
Is it Dalton?
Hopefully, if we're all lucky. Anything else, Kay?
Yes, Ryan in Amarillo says, OB, I agree with your perception of the reporter's reaction to Jimbo. Only other alternative was he was shocked to hear how false the original report was on our NIL deals.
And that might have been again, I had one interpretation, but that might have been it. Maybe he was just shocked to hear the truth.
Let me ask you this. With the whole Deion Sanders thing and Travis Hunter, did you believe that NIL played a factor in his decision?
I believe NIL played a factor. Supposedly, Barstool made a deal, but I don't believe Jackson State paid the kid $1 million.
Right.
Like Deion says, I don't make $1 million.
And I think even the kid himself said $1 million. Like my mom, we're in a
three-bedroom house with 5 kids.
Yeah, so I tend to believe people unless proven otherwise. And if I have a suspicion, I go do the research.
It's funny to me that so many in the media for decades complained that these kids deserve to get paid, and now that kids are, they're making they're trying to make people into villains.
Yep.
And but hypocrisy's always been a part of the media, even when I was part of it.
OB, great time, man. Thank you, sir.
It's always fun.
It is fun.
See you tomorrow.
See you, bro. When we come back, Jason Caldwell, Auburn Insider, going to join the show. We'll talk a little bit about Auburn, trying to get you caught up to date after all of the spring practices and whatnot. It is TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
I'll never forget the day I decided to go out for the football team. Mr. Banks, the JV football coach and my history teacher, asked me to stay after class. I thought I was in trouble. He said, "Hey, Darius, have you thought about going out for football? I think you'd be great." Fact is, I never played football. Fact is, I never had anyone tell me I'd be great at something. So, with no experience at all, I signed up. And a week later, I padded up and was running drills on the field. I never was great, but playing high school sports was one of the greatest experiences of my life. I was accepted by my teammates, and I learned that when someone believes in you, you can believe in yourself.
Encourage a student you know to take part in a high school sport. This message presented by the UIL and the Texas High School Athletic Directors Association.
Paul Feinbaum is SEC country, and Aggieland is too. Listen in to Paul weekday afternoons 2 to 4 on the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. This is KZNE, College Station Bryan.
WTAW, I'm Chelsea Reber with a news update on the Zone. After more than 4% of Brazos County's registered voters participated in last week's early voting, today is Election Day for the primary runoff. Voting locations and sample ballots are online at brazosvotes.org. On the eve of the primary runoff election, the chairwoman of the Brazos County Democratic Party warns to be on alert in social media for posts related to this November's city council elections. Amy Algie learned that there is no one named Jane Reed running for Bryan mayor. Algie believes whoever is behind this has started liking and following local Democratic pages and leaders to try and get them to spread misinformation. If Brazos County voters approve increasing vehicle registration fees by $10 in this November's election, the organization collecting the money wants to help pay for 3 highway projects. The near-term project addresses congestion at Arrington Road and William D. Fitch. The midterm project is improving access along Highway 21, getting in and out of the Rellis campus, and the long-range project is described as an inner east loop from Highway 30 in Fitch and College Station to the North Bryan intersection of Highway 6 and FM 2818. A Bryan woman driving a pickup is in jail on charges of intoxication assault and intentionally rear-ending a motorcycle. 21-year-old Keila Lopez Salazar is also being held for immigration authorities. The Bryan police arrest report states that a passenger on the motorcycle is hospitalized with a crushed diaphragm and lacerations on both legs. The driver sustained undisclosed injuries. Bryan Broadcasting receives another honor from the Texas Association of Broadcasters.
Chelsea Reber is a recipient of the Jason Hightower Award, which recognizes younger broadcasters. And radio commercials produced by Bryan Broadcasting for the Urban Optics Days of Our Eyes campaign are finalists in the National Radio Mercury Awards competition. Bill Oliver, 1620 94.5 WTAW.
For more news, you can go online to WTAW.com. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Hey parents, when it comes to your child's education, there's a lot to consider. No matter what you're searching for, search the Bryan Broadcasting half-price tuition program first. We've partnered with schools and learning centers throughout the area to get your students started with high-quality programs at half price. Right now, we're featuring half-price tuitions at Hopewell Classical Day School, Kinder Music, Happy Camper School, and more. Half-price tuitions are first come, first served, and availability is limited. Go to halfpricebrazos.com.
Shop local, buy local, save big deals.
Hi, it's Jenny from your local Big Deal store. If you've never visited our website, you're missing out because we've partnered with some of the best local businesses in town. Dozens of gift certificates, all discounted, ready for you to buy today. Here are just a few of the businesses you'll find.
Easy Phone Repairs, Next Gen Gaming Lounge, and Buff City Soap Aggieland. Shop and save now at AggielandBigDeals.com.
Good morning, sports fans. I'm Zach Taylor with your Aggie Sports Minute on The Zone. This Sports Minute is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click HilcoSupply.com. Texas A&M Athletics Director Ross Bjork announced yesterday that the university will not renew the contract of softball coach Joe Evans. An NFCA Hall of Famer, Evans spent 26 seasons in Aggieland, leading the team to 988 wins, 3 College World Series appearances, and 20 straight NCAA tournaments. The Maroon and White wrapped up their campaign Sunday with a 20-0 loss to Oklahoma in the Norman Regional. A&M women's golf has advanced to match play at the NCAA Championships for the first time ever. The ladies will kick off the quarterfinal this morning against Florida State in Scottsdale. 4 A&M baseball players have received postseason accolades from the SEC. Austin Bose, Dylan Rock, and Ryan Targach all garnered second-team recognition, while reliever Chris Cortez was pegged to the all-freshman squad. The guys are currently in Hoover, Alabama, getting set to take part in the SEC tournament. Skipper Jim Schlossnagle was asked who will get the start for Game 1 on Wednesday.
Probably going to give Micah Dallas a start on Wednesday. I really don't want to bring anybody back on any kind of short rest.
And that's Schloss on the Louis Bellina Show yesterday over on The Zone. The Aggies will take on either Florida or South Carolina tomorrow at 1 o'clock right here on The Zone. And that's been your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. On The Zone, I'm Zach Taylor.
Everything in life has rules, and The Zone has prize rules for all contesting. You can check them out at zone1150.com. You may know you can win once every 30 days. There can only be one winner per household per month. You have 30 days to pick up your prizes. You have to be 18 or older to win. You have to present a legal ID to claim your prize. All prizes are non-transferable and not for resale. To make sure you do know all the rules, or if you have any questions about the prize rules, make sure to visit zone1150.com. Zone1150.com.
Yes, yes,
All right, we're back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Garner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. One of my favorite things happening on the YouTube page, there's an Ole Miss guy who keeps coming on there and typing, and Ole Miss owns Texas A&M. I guess he didn't watch the baseball series this past weekend, and also doesn't realize every time he chats on the chat, we get paid. So keep it going. Keep it going. I love the algorithm. All right, so as we mentioned a while back, we are trying to catch up with all teams. I know we're already in the summer, but after their spring game and just wrap up spring practice, we turn our attention now to Auburn. And Jason Caldwell is joining the show. He's been covering the team for over 23 years for Inside the Auburn Tigers. He's been on the show before. He's also been our SEC show. Excuse me, I couldn't remember the name for a minute. Up to the second SEC football. But we go straight to the BCSI hotline. Jason Caldwell joining the show. What's going on, Jace?
I'm good. How about you?
Doing great, man. Thanks so much for joining us. So, crazy offseason, obviously, for Auburn. How crazy was it to cover up close, and with everything that happened with Brian Harsin and whatnot? Just kind of take me through that timeline and how it got really low and now kind of somewhat back to normal.
Yeah, I think like most everything, it was probably a little bit of an in-between, not quite as bad as it seemed, but, at one point and probably a little worse at other points than it seemed. But quite honestly, having, like I said, 20 plus years at Auburn and 20 plus years of being in the Southeastern Conference, you kind of get used to things like that, unfortunately, but that's the way it is. And I think in some regards, it may have been a good thing in the long run for everybody involved. I think sometimes you have to hit a reset button and go, hold on, let's take a step back and realize what the ultimate goal is here. The ultimate goal is to try to build a program. And I think it took a little bit of that from the Harsin side of things and from a coaching staff side of things to go, okay, maybe we need to figure out a little bit more about what life's like in the Southeastern Conference, but also for the folks on the other side going, look, you hire a guy for a reason, you got to go let him go and see what happens. So I think in the long run, it may be best for both sides that it came out and you're able to kind of flush through it.
So then I'll ask you the follow-up. Any chance that he is around a year from now? Because there was a feeling that if he's not done now, he'll be done soon, especially knowing what's ahead for Auburn this year.
Yeah, I kind of, my stock answer is it's well above my pay grade. I think it depends on what the season looks like. And I don't know that it would matter who it is. We've seen it nowadays in college football. Auburn went 6-7 last year. If you have a couple of losing seasons in a row, it doesn't matter the situation that happened, but the year before, there's going to be some questions that are going to be asked because of the money involved and because of the competition level in this league. So I think for them, it's on, improvement. Can you take some baby steps moving forward against a really tough schedule once again?
Do you ever, or do fans ever replay that Alabama game in their heads again and how different this offseason would feel had they been able to finish the deal there with just a little bit of time left?
Yeah, I think people, everybody involved, you look at that game every year, no matter what. But in that situation, a first-year coach, without your starting quarterback, your quarterback's injured and you're gutting it out and within inches of finding a way to win. Yeah, I think people look at that one and go, man, how different things would have been had you pulled off that upset and beat a team that was going to the college football playoffs. And it would have taken a lot of the sourness out of a season ended with 5 straight losses. And so it just a couple of plays here or there for this team were the difference in, 7, 8, 9 wins. And instead you go 6-7 and it's obviously a much different offseason.
I'm trying to remember. I think it was the A&M game that really things started spiraling out of control. And that was a game that it was a defensive touchdown for A&M that really was the difference. That game could have been closer, although I thought the A&M defense kept Bo Nix in check.
Yeah, no question. Yeah, the Auburn had built some momentum, was playing its best football of the season going into that, and A&M's defense just really dominated the game. And that's where the question marks come now. It's carried over from Gus Malzahn into Brian Harsin, and it's the question mark going into this season. Do they have enough firepower on offense to play in this league? And I mean, Texas A&M's even seen that. You've seen that the defense has been really good, but at times the firepower hasn't been enough offensively from the big strike perspective to compete against an Alabama or compete against some of these teams that you have to. And obviously last year their defense carried them enough, and then Zach Calzada and that offense made some plays against Alabama, but it wasn't consistent. That's the thing for Auburn. It's the same thing. Can you find enough firepower? And that showed up against Texas A&M already there. Georgia did it to pretty much everybody, but down the stretch, they just couldn't find enough big plays on offense to win some of those games.
Jason, off topic here, but it just piqued my interest a moment ago. Where do Auburn fans, and me, if you will, stand on the whole Jimbo Saban thing? Because it's probably a part of you guys that like anything anti-Saban, I would assume, for the fans at least.
Yeah.
But it's very rare for them to also be like, oh, Team Jimbo. How did it all feel out there?
Yeah, I think if you ask the general Auburn fan, they would absolutely side more towards Jimbo in this one, just because of having to deal with just what you've had to deal with since 2008 with Nick Saban in this state. I mean, it's, I try to tell people for a long time that think Auburn is the toughest job in college football, with Jimbo now doing what he's doing. Obviously, Georgia, you look at LSU, everybody you're dealing with is now become players on the national stage, even more so. But I think you look, and it's been Nick Saban in Alabama for so long that I think anybody that stands up to them probably earns a little bit of respect.
Let's talk about that early game against Penn State. Last year, obviously, was a huge one, and this year, again, a tough test to start off the season.
It is, and it's the first half of this season coming up in 2022 is kind of the table setter. The first 5 games are all at home, and you have kind of an easing into the schedule, Mercer and San Jose State. Penn State's that first true test, and a win like that would be monumental. It might not mean anything, and it didn't mean much for Penn State at the end of the season last year because they kind of fell off a little bit. But for a coaching staff in year number 2 to have Penn State at home and to win a game like that would reinforce some of the things you're telling recruits, and they're kind of waiting. It's not done normal. Normally, wins and losses in the grand scheme of things don't have a big impact in recruiting, but I think it will in this case for Auburn because it's year 2. This spring was the first spring this coaching staff has had an opportunity to go on the road, because last year was still COVID. So you had a first-year coaching staff that couldn't go on the road in the spring. You had summer camps for 1 month, and then you had some visitors during the fall. So now can you reinforce that message you've been telling folks, like, hey, this is going to work? So this Penn State game is the first opportunity to kind of showcase that this season.
Oh, and by the way, you have your regular SEC West schedule, which includes A&M, which includes Alabama, and Georgia on the schedule as well. It is that's why I think there are some whispers like, is Brian Harsin going to be able to withstand this? I don't know what coach can withstand that.
Yeah, it's, and it's what you live every year at Auburn. And that's kind of the challenge you face when Georgia's your every year SEC East opponent, obviously. And then you look at the Western Division and look at what Arkansas is now doing. Look at what Ole Miss has been able to do. And you look at Mississippi State bringing back a quarterback and Mike Leach and kind of starting to kind of feel a little bit there. We talk about it in SEC baseball for years, and now softball. Football, you always thought about it was kind of the top 4 or 5. Somebody else might jump up there, but the bottom, you go, no, you know what? There's no bottom in the SEC West. There's none. There's no off gaze. And so that's what the challenge is for this team is, and the big deal, do you have enough depth on both sides of the ball to withstand that? We saw it take its toll last year. That's going to be a big challenge for this team.
Obviously, there is a lot of attention on Zach Calzada here because of what he was able to do against Alabama. Give us an update on what you're hearing about him and how his shoulder's healing and just the quarterback battle in general, TJ Finley and company.
Yeah, it's going to be a battle that goes – it may go into the opener against Mercer just because, there's probably going to be – they had, 3 scholarship players in the spring with Demetrius Davis, obviously a kid from right there in Houston when he transferred out. TJ Finley returns with the experience in the offense. And then you had Holden Garner as a guy that is a true freshman, Under Armour All-American, that I think his time will come. But Zach Calzada, obviously everybody at TexAgs and at Texas A&M knows his story. He was able to throw in the spring, but it was that non-throwing shoulder that, ironically enough, he was injured against Auburn last year that kept bothering him through the season. So they decided to cleaned it up. He's full go this summer, ready to hit the ground running. And so he was able to practice enough to get the offense, to get a feel for things. But now you got to throw them in the fire. I doubt very seriously we'll see any true contact for those guys, but they'll have to have some more scrimmage type situations for this quarterback battle to narrow to 2, because Robbie Ashford transferred from Oregon, a kid from Hoover High School. He was pretty good in the spring, really athletic. He's a different type of kid. But Zach Calzada got experience in the league, has played. And I think they feel like he's a good fit for what they want to do on offense. Now it's just a matter of can you kind of seize control of it in a short window in August.
So if he's healthy, do you give him the lead?
Yeah, I think probably at the end. I think the lead still right now has to go to TJ Finley because he's the only guy in this offense that's ever taken a snap in this offense. And that's such an important thing. But I do think that Zach Calzada, because of his SEC experience, maturity, I think he's a guy that the more he gets those reps and gets actually in that team concept thing, I think for him, going to be a guy to watch for sure.
Auburn insider Jason Caldwell on the BCSI hotline. How about the receiving core? I feel like every year there's like different names showing up there. How does it look this summer?
Yeah, that's, to me, if you start talking about question marks for this Auburn football team, we just talked about playmaking and lack of explosive plays. That's where it starts. You look at the difference in Alabama. We kind of keep coming back. Look at the difference in Alabama in the last 5 or 6 years because of what they've had at wide receiver. For Auburn, you're looking and you're trying to find those guys. And Shedrick Jackson is the leading returning receiver. He was steady last year, really played his best football at the end of the year, but he's not a classic number one guy. He's probably more of a complimentary receiver. Do they have a number one? That's the question mark right now. Javarius Johnson is a smaller, undersized guy, but has the big playability that they're looking for. Can he be consistent and stay healthy? They added DeZalem Worsham, transferred from Miami, who's originally from the Birmingham area, to kind of jump in there. Jay Fair, a kid from Texas there in Rockwall Heath, came in and went through spring practice. So they've got some pieces, but can they find somebody to become that number one guy? That's the question mark that's still left unanswered.
Talking to Jason Caldwell here. Hey, Jason, let's look at the offensive line because I think that could be a strength for Auburn this year. 4 returners.
Yeah, they've got a ton of experience coming back when you look at this offensive line. And I think a blessing in disguise for them was Nick Brahms, who's a starting center, Austin Troxell, starting tackle, and Brandon Council, a starting guard, were all held out of the spring after doing some cleanup things on them. And so it forced other guys to have to take some reps. I think the key for this Auburn offensive line is going to be a left tackle. Killian Zaire is a kid that came in from a junior college 2 years ago, had a knee injury late in his junior college career. So last year was really the first year he'd been healthy. Got a couple of starts under his belt. He's 6'6", 315, kind of the classic left tackle, pretty athletic kid, originally from Germany. If they can solidify a left tackle spot, then it allow a guy like Austin Troxell to play probably a more natural right tackle spot. But you got, obviously mentioned Brandon Council. You got Nick Brahms, and then, Keandre Jones started games last year at right guard too. So they got a ton of experience coming back. A lot of it's old. A lot of it will be gone after this year. So the developmental side of things for them, can they get some of those guys some snaps to get prepared for 2023 is that's the question mark now. And can those guys stay healthy?
Derek Mason moves on, and he was obviously such a great fit there as a defensive coordinator. What is the plan moving forward?
Yeah, Jeff Schmedding will take that over. He was, Harson's defensive coordinator at Boise State. He came in and was coaching the linebacker position. And so they're keeping things, even though they have new coordinators on both sides of the ball, they're keeping things pretty similar. So there's not a huge learning curve for the guys coming back. They're not reinventing the wheel. They're just going to kind of pick and choose to add and take away some things on defense, which I think is important. When you look at this defense, you lose Roger McCreary's a guy that is going to be playing in the NFL, obviously got drafted. Smoke Monday was an important part in the secondary, but you have Colby Wooden coming back and Marcus Harris, Derek Hall, Eku Leota. A healthy Owen Popo at linebacker for this team is vital. He was the guy that in that Penn State game last year got hurt, and he only played in a couple of games the rest of the year, never was healthy. If they can get him back healthy in the middle of that defense, it'll be a big deal. So the front line guys on defense should be able to match up with anybody. It's this, can they develop the depth behind them that they're going to need, throughout the year in the Southeastern Conference.
Are there some youngsters, though, that are coming to mind that you feel can step up and just take some time to adjust to SEC play?
There are. I mean, they added a couple of transfers on that side of the ball. Jason Jones is 6'6", 320-pound defensive tackle, a kid originally from Alabama that was from Oregon. That'll be a guy that you'll see a lot of in the middle of that defense. And they'll probably be a little bit more traditional 3-4 than they have been the last few years because they've got more of the interior type defensive lineman. But Jeffrey Mbaugh was the number one junior college defensive lineman in the country, a 6'5", 315, kid originally from France. had a little shoulder cleanup as well. So they've got some pieces on defense, and then Nehemiah Pritchett, Jalen Simpson are back at corner that have starting experience. So they've got some guys in place. Again, some of these young guys stepping up, especially on that defensive line. Can they create some pressure and get after the passer? That's the question mark that'll be answered, and it needs to be answered pretty early.
Understanding the difficult schedule that Auburn has and the question marks really at several positions, what is a realistic expectation for this team this year? Understanding that Brian Harson's fighting for his job.
Yeah, I think the key is for them is I mentioned that first 5 games. You got, early on, you got Mercer, San Jose State, a chance to get into the season to kind of solidify things at quarterback. Penn State. You got Penn State, Missouri, and LSU all at home. The first 5 games. Those are winnable football games. And for Auburn, they're almost must-win games because you start looking the rest of the schedule and you go to Georgia, to Alabama. That's what happens nowadays with the schedule is flipped. You got those 2 road games to deal with. You got Ole Miss and Mississippi State as well. Ole Miss, this is almost a completely rebuilt roster, but Lane Kiffin's going to score points. That could be a challenge for this team. So you start looking at home games going, got opportunities. You got Arkansas at home. And you feel like if you're home, you got a chance to compete with anybody. So for Auburn, you look at realistic going, man, if you can kind of get some things going, get Tank Bigsby running the football to kind of take some pressure off the quarterback position, got a chance to be a 7-8 win. To me, that's where I'm looking at. It's going to be hard to envision right now this team being a 9 or 10 win team because you look at Georgia and Alabama road games going, man, that's going to be really, really hard for even a great football team to do. For this team, can they develop into a team that can go out there and take care of business at home is the question.
So 7-8 wins maybe keeps Harson's job?
I think it would if you start talking about the development and especially if you get a guy like a Zach Calzada and you start to see some things on offense where you go, okay, now it's starting to show up a little bit, the tight end usage and building off the running game and having a quarterback that efficiency side of things. I think that's where it's going to start for folks going, hey, look, got to start to see some things happen on that side of the ball.
Last thing for you, how excited are people for Auburn baseball? Potentially they're being mentioned as a national seed. A&M obviously is hoping to be a national seed as well. How excited are they?
Yeah, I think I think the excitement is there. And obviously we start talking about playing in this league. Auburn and Texas A&M both have seen it the last couple of years. All it takes is a hiccup and you're looking up at the rest of the league going, what happened? But I think for Auburn fans, it's just a gradual building process when you look at having to compete with in the best league in the country, 16 SEC wins in the regular season. Can you get a couple of wins in the SEC tournament to give you a chance to potentially be in that top 8? I think that's what's needed. But I think Auburn has put themselves, because they're RPI, in a position to be a regional host. And so if they're able to do that, it's the first time since 2010 that Auburn would have hosted a regional. So it's a big step.
Jason, we appreciate the time, my friend. Let's talk soon.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Thank you very much. There he is, Jason Caldwell, who covers the Auburn Tigers on Inside the Auburn Tigers. Appreciate his time here on the show. When we come back, your phone calls, your text messages on the AMB text line, 979-693-1150. You're listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. The public is invited to a pre-Memorial Day event honoring all missing and unknown service members who made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation. Come out on Wednesday, May 25th to the American Pavilion in Veterans Park from 11 to 1. The City of College Station is hosting public meetings to gather citizen input about projects for the council to consider for a possible bond election in November. The meetings are Wednesday from 6 to 8 at the Lincoln Recreation Center and Tuesday, May 31st from 6 to 8 at the Ringer Library. The Bush Library invites you to a summer film series featuring Shark Tale this Friday by the pond. Games and food start at 7. The movie begins at sunset. Our Savior's Lutheran Church is hosting a fine arts camp for incoming preschool through 5th graders. Mornings, June 13th through the 17th. Register your child at oursaviorsbcs.org. That's your community calendar. You can submit your nonprofit or charitable event by email to news@wtaw.com. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Looking for more ways to save money?
Aren't we all? Jenny here. Shop your local Big Deals online store. You'll find gift certificates to all kinds of local businesses, places where you already shop, restaurants you already love, and great local entertainment. The best part? All of these gift certificates are on sale at discounted prices. Get them for yourself or buy them as a gift. Shop and save. You'll be glad you did.
AggielandBigDeals.com to save big. AggielandBigDeals.com.
Hey Aggie Land, Big Shots Golf Local and Live Concert Series continues every Thursday this May in the Yard, and you're invited. Come hear local artists Morgan Ashley this Thursday from 7 to 9 at Big Shots Golf for free. So bring your friends and family for drinks, grub, and live music at Local and Live this Thursday at Big Shot Golf. See you there. Find out more at facebook.com/BigShotsGolf Aggieland.
Get a taste of something special at Shipwreck Grill. For great food and an amazing time, Shipwreck Grill is one of a kind.
Shipwreck Grill, serving the best seafood, delicious burgers, and great cocktails in a fun, relaxing atmosphere. Sit at the hull of the ship and watch some oyster shucking, or on the patio sipping sangria. Shipwreck Grill, open 7 days a week.
Get a taste of something special at Shipwreck Grill.
Would you like to win a Texas Summer Survival Kit thanks to Field to Family, farm fresh beef direct from their fields to your family? They offer unique cuts you can't even find in the grocery store. Would you like to win 4 tickets to Fiesta Texas Six Flags, the Brazos Valley Bombers, and Cinemark Theater? Also, a $50 gift card to Superior Auto Service and a $50 gift card to Field to Family. It's the Texas Summer Survival Kit. Register now, enter now at zone1150.com.
All right, we are back. We call it TexAgs Radio. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. So I had that conversation with Jason Caldwell, and he mentioned the first 5 games for Auburn really being what will determine a successful season or not, because the second half of the schedule is ridiculous. A&M, obviously, on the second half of the schedule, the Aggies do have to travel there. I'm looking forward to going. It'll be my first time out there. But I'm looking at their schedule right now, and let's just kind of go through it to understand what he was getting at there, because that A&M game is November the 12th. Obviously, could have big implications if A&M takes care of their business. But Auburn opens up with Mercer, and they have San Jose State. I'm going to give them the 2 wins right there. Where it gets interesting is Penn State visiting. Now, an SEC team typically, I would say, would win that game, especially at home. And that last year's game was quite close. But again, with the question marks at quarterback, that's a TBD, right? That is absolutely a TBD. So if we're playing the game of how many wins is it going to take for Auburn, because I look at Auburn, I think they're the worst team in the SEC West. I think they're the worst team in the SEC West because of the teams ahead of them, or the teams in the division, and because of the question marks that they have at quarterback and whatnot. So you look at them, and by the way, wide receiver too, being another huge question mark. So at that point, they're 2-1. I think they beat Missouri at home. The LSU game is interesting. That could be the swing game for them. That would be the 4th game on the schedule. Excuse me, the 5th game on the schedule. They're hosting LSU. It's not like I think LSU is going to be all that good, but I do think they're better than Auburn. So that's going to be another loss for Auburn. At this point, you are 3-2. Georgia, 3-3. There's no chance they're beating Georgia on the road. They got Ole Miss on the road. I'm saying they're losing that one today. I don't know enough, but as of today, 3-4. Okay. They host Arkansas. It'll be competitive. Arkansas still wins, 3-5. Auburn at Mississippi State. Now your season starting. I'm going to give them one of these games, either the Arkansas game or the Mississippi State game. So now you're 4-5. A&M, they're going to lose. Western Kentucky, they win. All right, so they get their 5th win, and then they finish the season with Alabama. I think they're a 5-win team. And I think I'm being nice by giving them one, because they win those first 3, and after that, all of those are juggernauts. Can they win? I mean, and of course, there's going to be a game that they probably shouldn't win that they end up winning, but it ain't going to come against A&M. It's not going to come against Alabama or Georgia. Those games they're not going to win. I have questions on all these teams. A&M has questions. Ole Miss has questions. Mississippi State has questions. They're pretty much the same team, but they do have questions, especially with Charles Cross leaving. But, like, you look at that schedule, Brian Hart, if he needs to win 8 games to keep his job, he's not winning 8 games next year. Unless you get a Heisman-esque performance out of Tank Bigsley and Calzada can be the Calzada we saw against Alabama for most of the season. Because I've seen enough of TJ Finley. He's not going to win. I don't buy that. I think Arkansas is really good. I do. I think Arkansas is probably the 3rd best team in the West. Ole Miss, I don't know. Like, people don't know about Texas A&M. I don't know about Ole Miss. So I look at their schedule, and I'm like, and again, I'll take it too, because Auburn's traditionally a really good team, and they're down this year. And, we could use a nice little road trip there and get a victory, because that stretch for Texas A&M is going to be a very tough stretch for A&M when they have to go to Jordan Heron beforehand. They've obviously got the Alabama game on October 8th. So they got a lot on their plate beforehand. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see how A&M goes into that game in November. By the way, I have A&M schedule now up. So it's that little stretch of road games goes A&M at Mississippi State on October the 1st, A&M at Alabama on October the 8th. Then they have a little break at South Carolina on the 22nd. Then at Ole Miss on the 29th. Look at all these road games. They host Florida. Then they go to Auburn on November the 12th. Stretch right there, without a doubt. All right, when we come back here on TexAgs Radio, I'm going to ask you guys a question. You can participate on the A&B text line or on the BCSI hotline. Did Jimbo's comments, not only during his press conference last week, but what he said to the San Antonio reporter, did it galvanize you? Did it make you more impassioned to help out and do everything you can? Do you feel like the fan base now is by Jimbo doing what he did, does it make you feel like, you know what, I need to get involved? I need to find a way, because we got to go beat Darth Saban. We've got to figure out a way to do it. And you've always wanted to, but maybe this was that one more little itchy thing that you needed to get to go and be a part of it. I'd like to hear from you on the A&B text line and also on the BCSI hotline, 979-693-1150. It is TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
Once had Olin do push-ups on air for good radio. Go figure.
Are you ready?
Let's begin. TexAgs Radio with David Nuño. Weekdays on The Zone.
If you're a runner, walker, or interested in fitness, the right shoe makes all the difference. At Brazos Running Company, they are passionate about running and finding the right shoe for you. Brazos Running Company is a local, Aggie-owned and operated specialty running store with an outstanding selection of running gear and shoes, including sought-after brands like Brooks, On, and Hoka. They'll help you find the shoe that fits your stride and style. Brazos Running Company next to Kohl's in College Station. Save 10% in-store when you mention code TexAgs10.
It's time to do your civic duty and make sure the best candidates get elected for office. Hi, I'm Gabriel Garcia, and I'm asking you to re-elect me as your Brazos County District Clerk. I have a passion for public service, and I've made a number of positive changes in the District Clerk's office, including added deputy clerks in court, stressing the importance of preserving and archiving records, and adding a Clerk 1 position without raising the salary budget. Re-elect me, Gabriel Garcia.
Paid for by Gabriel Garcia Campaign, Pet Septic Treasurer. Flying V Rentals is looking for hardworking, dependable people to join their team. Full-time diesel mechanics, field techs, Class A CDL drivers, and office assistant positions are available with insurance benefits, paid holidays, and paid vacation. Starting pay determined by experience. Apply in person at Flying V Rentals or call Clint Holden at Flying V for more info. If you're hardworking, dependable, and looking for full-time employment, Flying V Rentals is looking for you, an equal opportunity employer.
Here's Brad Beard of Intercon.
As the old saying goes, if your only tool is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. At Intercon, we have a full toolbox to meet your window needs. Perhaps your home is ready for a full retrofit to vinyl windows. This full replacement option beautifies your home while improving thermal efficiency, noise reduction, and dust penetration. On the other hand, your existing windows may just need some maintenance. The glass in your existing windows may be replaced, in many cases upgraded to more efficient options. The mechanism in your windows can be replaced to allow the window to operate more smoothly. Maybe you just need solar screens on some windows to eliminate hot spots in your home that tax the air conditioning system and make some rooms unlivable. With the breadth and depth of Intercon's knowledge and product offering, we can find the solution that meets your needs and budgetary constraints. Trust your friends at Intercon to understand your needs and use the best tool for the job.
Whether you have new construction or an existing home, let the fine folks from Intercon help your home energy efficiency year-round. Call Brad Beard of Intercon today at 823-3639. That's 823-3639.
On Sports Talk, I visit with former Rice pitcher Bobby Bramhall on his book, Who's On First, about bringing up a Little Leaguer.
Concentrate on one sport the rest of your life. Play as many sports as you can right now. And the reason I say that is because that makes you better at that one sport when you have an overall rounded approach to how to be athletic in multiple sports.
Sports Talk, from Little Leagues to the majors, weekdays from 4 to 6, right here on The Zone.
And we're back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. So typically we have Pat Henry here, but he had to cancel our interview. By the way, those weekly hits are brought to you by Brazos Running Company, your local Aggie-owned specialty running store. Save 10% in store when you mention the code TexAgs10. We'll catch up with Coach Henry here soon enough. He had to cancel for something that came up, but they did send me some notes to kind of just go over, and I thought I'd throw these out there before we get to our topic, which was, do you feel like Jimbo's comments have kind of galvanized this A&M community and makes you feel impassionate enough to be involved and maybe stacked or whatever it may be that we can do to help NIL here from an A&M perspective. But here's some of the notes I wanted to get into from the A&M's track team. All right, so obviously you know they're in Fayetteville. They are beginning here, I believe, tomorrow for the West preliminary rounds there at John McDowell Stadium. They've got 51 combined participants, the fifth most by any institution out there. You have the men for a couple days. You have the women for a couple days. So the men will be going on Wednesday and Friday. The women will be going on Thursday and Saturday. This is weird to me, though. So the women are number 3. That's not weird. The men are number 13. Last week, they were number 10. They had an off week. How do you drop, seriously, I'm asking this because I don't know how this is even possible. How do you drop 3 spots on an off week? That's the whole ratings and it's just rankings. It's just stupid. It's just unexplainable. It's just dumb. By the way, the weather out there is going to cause some issues. You've got scattered thunderstorms, I guess, for the first couple days, but then the last 2 will be in the 70s and the 80s. Obviously, great track weather out there. So that's out there. And Bryce Foster, Devon A. Chain, a lot of the, the big names that are going to be out there doing their thing. Brandon Miller, obviously. So we will be tracking along with everything that they're doing, and we'll try to catch up with Coach Henry here shortly. But as I mentioned, I feel, and I think I'm right, that Coach Fisher's comments over the last week have galvanized and have impassioned Aggies everywhere. Is having, I don't want to say the opposite effect, but by what Saban did. And if you want to play the game that Saban made those comments not thinking it was going to get out, and he's just trying to tell his fan base or his boosters, hey, you guys better step up because A&M is doing this, and we've got to play catch-up. Well, here's the facts. The facts are A&M has had more money always, okay? It's not like automatically Alabama's going to be, I got all the money in the world. That's not going to happen. They have a lot of money, by the way. Obviously, a year ago, they bragged about how much money Bryce Young had before he had taken a snap, right? 7-figure deal. Their conversation is for existing players, claiming that A&M used NIL for players that are about to be to use them in recruiting, which was not the case. But I think by talking to his fan base and rallying them and saying, hey, this is what's happening. I need more money. Give it to me. Okay. By doing that, you've also done it for Texas A&M. I know for a fact, if you just go to our message boards, you can see what people are writing. People are upset. And the me against you mentality is a winner. Right? Like, is everybody against us? Let's go. Because there's a couple ways to look at it. You can look at it as like, I can't believe everybody's against us. And like, it kind of, that's not how Jimbo rolls. Jimbo's like, okay, you're against us. And now he's got the support of everyone out there. And you saw what happened after the 41-38 victory over Alabama. You saw it, right? 41-38, hello? Kids First Fun. Like, it was, you know what an impassioned fan base this already is. It's probably the biggest in all of college sports. And right now, you've upset an entire fan base. I think you upset a lot of college football fans in general. Yes, there are those who are going to believe what they want to believe because they read it on a message board or they read it on Twitter. Those guys are dumb. I don't care if you are a fan of A&M or you're a fan of another school. If you believe message board information without fact-checking. Now, I know there are some people, like we got Derm Doc. He's got great information on the boards. Like, you know, certain people have to be vetted. But by the way, use your real name if you're putting out stories about a $30 million fund. You heard what Jimbo said to Greg Simmons. One of the 11 enrollees is taking advantage of NIL deals right now. And when I say NIL deals, not like what we do here with Stacked, you know, for an interview, right? But there are one guy on campus right now is taking advantage of that from the early enrollees. And I hate that we have to continuously talk about it, but it is a talking point right now in the summer because people want to believe what they want to believe. And by Bro Bible saying something, and then this reporter reporting it, that the message board said that, and then Nick Saban taking information and throwing it out there, and it's on the internet, now it becomes reality in people's minds. People are saying that Jimbo cheated. People are saying that that's the only way A&M can recruit. Look at what this university has done through several coaches, by the way. Right? They've always recruited very well. Now, you want to say they haven't recruited number one well. Okay. Why is that such a far stretch to believe? Why? When they had the number 3 class before and the number 5 class before, and why they went after Jimbo Fisher. They went after this guy for these kind of results. Then they throw out, but you guys went 8-4 last year. Well, then you're dumb if you think that's the only reason a certain player chose a school. By the way, nobody's the same. They all have their own reasons. But I do believe in momentum. And A&M had momentum last year. I believe that they had a core nucleus that wanted to go to school here. And those guys bought into everything and started feeding that information out to the other recruits. And if it's only about NIL deals. Now, look, this school is going to have a good collective, right? But that is not why people chose A&M. And if you want to say that's the only reason, why? So a couple years ago when they were number 3, there was no NIL. Why did they pick us? Why did they pick us when we were number 5? Why is Texas openly bragging about their collective and their Lamborghinis and the Pancake Factory? Why is it? But they lost to Kansas. Losing to Kansas in football at home is like, I don't know, like losing to a middle school team. You don't do that. You don't do that if you're the University of Texas. Yet nobody really talks about it. It's only because A&M passed. It's not like Saban, by the way. It's not like Alabama finished 9th in recruiting. They suffered 2 losses last year. Actually, technically, they lost 3 times. They lost to A&M. They lost the second time to Georgia. And then they lost A&M head-to-head when it came to the number 1 recruiting class. And by the way, they finished number 2 with a great recruiting class. Again, this is not like they finished horribly. They finished with the second best recruiting class in the country. Yet for some reason, now we got to sound the alarms. We're losing. No, you lost on the field twice. That's why. We've been telling people this is going to happen. When Jimbo got hired in 2017, I guarantee you, most Aggies were already thinking that this was going to happen. Maybe not the number 1 of all time, but this was going to happen. That A&M was going to be in the conversation for the college football playoffs, in the conversation for the best recruiting classes, in the conversation for the best facilities. All those things are happening. That's why they were able to give him the extension. That's why there's so much of a fan base support for him. That is why what Nick Saban did is galvanized a fan base. And it's like, all right, let's go. Many of you are thinking about writing stuff out right now. Like, yes, highly recommend Stacked. It's pretty good content, just saying. But regardless of it, and while the rest of the world wants to And I think most of the people are actually sided on Jimbo on this. And while there may be reporters who are trying to have these gotcha moments, and we live in this world of media where a click, a headline determines your worth as a human being and as a reporter. Well, those are problems that we can't fix on this talk show. But those are the realities. But that, Jimbo can go to the team and use it against. And I love a coach with a chip on his shoulder. I love a player with a chip on his shoulder. Because you're doubting the work that they've put in. You're doubting it. So do you think that this has galvanized this fan base? Do you feel impassioned to help? Are you like walking around angry, like wanting to bump into people with an Alabama hat? Don't recommend you do that. You can call us up at 979-693-1150. That is the BCSI hotline. You can also text us on the AMB text line. We will go to the News and Social Center and catch up with Kay Nagley. Kay, tell me what the chats are saying.
Yeah, a lot of Ags chiming in on here. Jim from Temple said, Jimbo has proven to be a 15-round fighter, exposing the lies from ignorant national sports talk shows about his program, and has galvanized the Aggie fan base and also galvanized every player on his squad, from the starters down through the walk-ons. It's us against them every game on the schedule. We also have a couple people chiming in on YouTube saying, Jimbo rocks, love how he's building this program, and Brett McGee says A&M versus the world.
Yeah, it's funny because there was a time that I wouldn't want this kind of hate. I honestly think going through and I didn't go through anything, but just covering the Astros during the whole scandal, again, two different things. One was a legit scandal, one's a fake one. So I'm not trying to compare those two, but where I am comparing is the us against the world thing. What it did for that team, what I think it's going to do for this team. The Astros didn't end up winning a World Series afterwards, but they were expected to be horrendous, right? The mental fatigue that came with it. And all it did was just, Carlos Correa kind of had his impassioned speech for the Astros. It's kind of like Jimbo and telling people to go bad words. I'm not going to say them. But I think it's having that same effect with this team. And that's why I wish the Leon O'Neals of the world would have stuck around for another year, because he's that kind of leader that uses his voice. But Jimbo's the guy, and he's going to defend. And look, next week when they head out to Destin and they have the coaches' meetings, I don't expect any fireworks. I really don't. Will the coaches be asked things? Of course they will. But I love the fact that Jimbo did what he did and will look them in the eye with no fear. He'll be in the same room with Lane Kiffin, little buddy right there, and just give him a look and be like, yeah, I'm here. What you going to do about it? And look, I'm not talking about one football game. I'm talking about history and reputation. You take Jimbo Fisher's reputation. Lane Kiffin's a really good football coach. He's not Jimbo Fisher. Don't even act like he is. Really good coach, especially when he's got a quarterback. Really good. What do you think A&M would have done with Matt Corral last year? They would have been in the national championship game. I say that, but and what I love is when folks. I say this to you every day because I'm kind of almost hoping for more of it. But there's folks that go on the YouTube page that love to troll Texas A&M, and I'm here for it. There's a guy Jackson on there. He says A&M can't even win the West. Okay, they haven't won the West yet. Yeah, they haven't. How many teams have won the West in the last 10 years? I'm just curious how many teams have. There's been 2, right? LSU and Alabama. Oh, I guess Auburn has 2. So, but for the most part, it's been Alabama. It's been Alabama. And, yeah, A&M has not lived up to those expectations. But troll, keep typing up on our chat. Keep raising our monetary value on YouTube. And keep seeing what A&M is going to do, because we're not going away. A&M is not going away. This stuff has really, I think, proven that when the going gets tough, it's not just the coach, it's the entire fan base gets going, right? And that's exactly what we're seeing. We'll continue this on the other side of the break. We certainly will. Jackson apparently is an Alabama fan. Thank you for joining us on the chat, man. Thank you. I just made $9 more. Thank you very much for that chat. Every time you do, it's $9 to my pocket. Right now, we experience the difference with Caprock Health System, patient-centered care. So anytime you're in an emergency situation, what you need to do is, the one thing you know that you're thinking about doing is, how can I feel better? How can I make my loved one feel better? Where can I go immediately to get quick service and just get us feeling better? And that's why I recommend Caprock Health System, because they are 100% locally owned and operated. And their main mission is to make you feel better immediately. The moment you walk in through the door, they put the patient first in every decision that they make. They are first class, and they work tirelessly to make you feel better. And by the way, they maintain cash prices for those of you out there that rival any competitor in the BCS area without insurance, and they encourage you to check it out for yourself. They got 2 state-of-the-art locations in and around the Brazos Valley that are designed for patient healing and family friendliness. You've got Caprock Hospital in Bryan and Caprock 24-hour emergency center there in College Station. They both have 0 wait time, so you'll never have to sit in a crowded waiting room with a bunch of people coughing all over you. You'll never have to do that. You just go straight in and get the help. They maintain a clean and sterile, safe environment. It is Caprock Health System.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. The Brazos County A&M Club invites you to come hear the latest news on the upcoming football season from Coach Jimbo Fisher at Coach's Night, Thursday, June 2nd at 6 p.m. at the Brazos County Expo Center. Visit their website for more information, bcamc.org. Aggieland Cowboy Fellowship Church is hosting its annual Stick Horse Rodeo Series on June 4th and again on June 18th from 10 a.m. to noon. Contact